Hi, this is Hanan Aquil.
Hi, this is Katie Sayad, and welcome to Health
Beets.
Beets. This is our first podcast episode, and we are so excited. This has been a mission of ours to do for a really long time, and life just gets in the way, but
here we are.
We're
doing the thing.
We're finally doing it. And so we're just super grateful for you that's listening. And really our mission for this podcast is to shed light essentially on taking care of ourselves, right? Taking better care of ourselves in a more holistic way.
Yeah, just be more mindful of what health is. It's not just nutrition and exercise. There's so many aspects to health that we're going to share with you on our podcast today. And hopefully that'll inspire you to make the changes, the transitions in your life to live the life of your dreams.
And we want to just be as transparent and as authentic as possible here in this podcast and share with you our journeys in health and the struggles that we had to go through and what we've learned along the way to help, like Hanan said, inspire you and to maybe motivate you or try something new that maybe you weren't aware of before. And so within this podcast, we're going to have guest speakers along every episode with their specialty and sharing what they do, how they've helped their clients or patients. And again, just shedding the light of so many different modalities, types of therapies, different tools to have to just essentially better your health and better your well-being. And most importantly, just bettering your happiness. I think that's what we all want, right? We all want to live an extraordinary life and we all just want to simply be happy.
Yes.
And I think the best way to do that is just feeling good about ourselves and knowing that we have a responsibility and that we're essentially in control sometimes of how we feel and actions that we can do to better ourselves.
Well put, Katie. Couldn't have said it better than myself.
Thanks, Hanan.
Yeah, so let's dive into our personal health journeys. Do you want to share with the audience what your health journey's been like?
Sure. So my health journey. So I'm a holistic health and wellness coach. And so basically how me and Hanan kind of started was that I was Hanan's health coach.
Yeah. And here we are.
Podcast later. So my journey with health, it really kind of fell into my lap. It's a unique journey. I'm lucky enough that I didn't have a health scare per se to kind of open my eyes. So what I studied back at university was business. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, to be honest. I thought business was a pretty good kind of base to have. And so after I graduated, I got your standard typical marketing job. I enjoyed it. And then I started doing marketing for supplement companies, health supplement brands. And then that's kind of what started beginning to open my eyes to this health world that's out there. I started listening to people's journeys of them getting essentially a death sentence from their doctors and from their team of people that's supposed to look after them, and what these people did to heal themselves. And the most incredible, the most inspiring stories for health and healing. And, I was in this position for years. I did this for a few years. I want to say at least 2 to 3 years. And I just kept coming back to me and reflecting, what am I doing for my health? Am I doing anything to better my health, better to tap into that innate healing system that we all have so that I am better prepared for certain illnesses and diseases that may come along the way? So I started looking within myself and I started taking yoga because I grew up as a dancer. So physical expression and movement was always a big form of therapy for me. So yoga not only was therapy physically for me, but it was also spiritually. I started really tapping into who I was deep within, asking myself those questions of, who am I? And yoga was really a gift in my life. And then that continued to open the door for me I started looking at the foods that I was eating because I noticed, some yoga practices I would feel so good and other yoga practices I wouldn't feel so good. And I started finding the correlation by the foods that I was eating for that day. So I started really looking into the foods that I ate, and I became completely plant-based. I've been plant-based for 7 years now.
Wow.
And once I made that transition, I just started feeling so much lighter. I had so much more energy. And then from there, I started looking into other aspects of my health. How's my sleep? How is my way of handling stress in my life? Am I getting nature exposure? Again, just every step that I kept taking just kept leading me down to another step that I wanted to take, another step that I wanted to take. And so with that really helped me to build a community, essentially. I always say the energy that you put out is the energy that you receive. And so I think because I had this essentially insatiable appetite for learning about health and healing, I started drawing in people into my life that shed more light and more knowledge for me to continue down that path. So I went back to school to study nutrition. I became a certified health coach. I tried so many different therapies. I've done Reiki, I've done Ayurveda, I've done massage therapy, I've done hypnotherapy, I've done aromatherapy. Honestly, the list goes on of just so many different methods of therapies that I've tried to really just continuing to learn more and more and more. And what I've discovered is that I'm never going to hit that one enlightened moment when it comes to my health, because health is so continuous. We're always changing, we're always evolving. My body is always changing. And so there's going to be new things for me to discover about myself and new therapies for me to keep figuring that out and explore. And so again, there's another reason why I'm so excited for this podcast, is we can start kind of looping in that greater community of health and hearing what tools they have to offer. So this is going to be so big for just not only Hanan and I, but for
the
our
community
listeners.
at large.
Yeah.
Well, that was awesome.
Thank
What
you.
a journey you've been on. Mine's a little different than Katie's. I'm a registered nurse, so I work primarily with the geriatric population and the adult population, and I'm surrounded by individuals who suffer from chronic illnesses and diseases and having to manage their care, and it's put a value on health in my life. But just backtracking, what got me into, I guess, being mindful of my health started when I was younger. My dad, he always would tell me, oh, you should drink grapefruit juice. It's good for your health. It helps with weight loss. He would take the omega-3 fatty acid supplements every morning. He had such a routine for himself to maintain his health. But he instilled in me that value for health just from his mindfulness of health. I mean, I was interested in that, but I also struggled emotionally growing up. I'm a child of immigrant parents, and I had to negotiate living in one culture at home, living in another culture around me, and just parents who weren't able to assimilate to the culture that I was being raised in, and just not having the social support that I needed to develop myself as an individual. So my journey is more of an emotional journey for myself that led into a physical health journey. At one point in my life, I decided I deserve better, and I started taking steps to improve my well-being. So I took steps in spirituality. I'm a born Muslim, so that was something I wasn't very clear on. What does that look like for me as a Muslim? How do I grow my identity as a Muslim that works for me? So I started taking classes to learn more about my faith. Another thing was my country of origin. My parents are Palestinian, and I didn't know much about Palestine, didn't have a connection with it. I just felt like a stranger to my own country of origin. So I went to Palestine as an adult, and I met my family for the first time and just reconnected with my family history. And that was also therapeutic in my exploration of my identity. And then moving forward, I lost weight. I was overweight growing up, and I just had some body image issues, and I never felt confident in my body. And so that created some bullying in school, because, sometimes we're not in the best of environments growing up as kids. Some kids are not able to understand our difference and they may judge us for that. So I was in that environment, unfortunately. Didn't allow me to develop my sense of self. And I lost weight to help give myself some more confidence on my body and just allow myself to kind of be able to, through that confidence, be able to express myself more. And that led to other changes. So I went to therapy as well, and I'm in therapy now. And that helped me release some like emotional baggage I carried growing up of this guilt and shame and all these negative things. So here I am now. I'm still on my health journey. As Katie had said, it's like an ever evolving thing. It's a continuous process in our life. But I guess I'm here to complement her health journey, or like her perspective of health, where she has a more like physical awareness of her health. I'm more of a mental and emotional awareness that I have. So that's my journey so far. It's been very rewarding. It's been very humbling to just kind of come to terms with yourself and how you are responsible for your health. And it's not just the food that you put in your mouth, but movements that you make during the day. It's also how you think.
It's the thoughts.
It's the thoughts that come from your mind that you decide to have, to engage with. It's how you perceive the world. Like life is experienced through the mind. How we take in this world, how we sense this world, we're processing it in our mind. We are creating our own life experience. So you want to make the most of it. Like your mind's very powerful.
We are the co-creators of our reality.
We are the co-creators of our reality. Reality exists. We choose what we allow to come into our minds from our reality and what we dismiss from our
and
reality.
And how we want to perceive the reality and the truth that it is.
Mm-hmm. So that's part of our health and well-being. It's mind and body connection for sure.
Yeah, and that's what we want to share with our audience here. And thank you so much, Hanan, for sharing and being so open and vulnerable about your journey and some of those trials that you went through and those, the lack of self-esteem that went along with it. I think those are all, I often say that our challenges are our biggest opportunities to grow.
Right.
And I love that you really leveraged that and you made something very powerful for your own self. And you're still on this journey of discovery and health and healing.
Yeah.
It's really, it's empowering and it's motivating. And we hope again to shed a little bit of light and our truth and our stories with our audience. And we're going to have guest speakers of some of the people that we saw personally in our health journey that helped us, that, they'll get a chance to talk and chat about what they do. And hopefully that will help as well for others that maybe are going through similar struggles.
Yeah. You're not alone in your health journey, and we're here to join you along the way to help you live the life that you want, that you feel most at peace with.
So Hanan, can you share some of the types of tools that you've utilized in your health journey?
Yeah, so not as many as you have. But,
I know it's a little lot.
You've definitely explored more than I have. I had Katie as a health coach. That's one modality, I guess you could say, is coaching. That's been very helpful. I was diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So I'm going through neurotherapy right now, which has been very nice because it's helped me calm my mind down and control my anxiety that I was dealing with.
Can you walk us through what that neurofeedback looks like?
Sure. And in one episode, we will interview the psychologist that I was working with for that. But just a brief summary of it. It's basically training your brain waves to behave the way that statistically the average adult person my age, my gender being female, would behave. So it's probes that are attached to my brain, and then I, depending on the protocol, will do a certain activity. So either like the first protocol, I had to relax, so it was dark, and I listened to calming music. So I was training my brain to be in a relaxation state, a meditative state. And then the protocol I'm doing right now is to help train my attention and impulsivity and ability to process information. So I'm just paying attention to a game, And based on my ability to pay attention, it can increase the speed at which the game executes. That's what I'm doing right now.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then talk therapy. I think everyone, even if you don't feel like you have a problem, could benefit from some psychotherapy just to gain some self-awareness. Trying to think what else I've done. I think that and nutrition, just being more mindful of my diet and just following a macronutrient diet and reducing my carbs and eating more plant-based foods has helped me as well.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing, Hanan. Yeah. So kind of these staple ideas that we're trying to bring about is that health is ever evolving and your health is unique to you. There's no one set playbook or rule book of how to feel good about yourself, how to feel healthy. But the one common theme here is that we all want to feel good, right? We all want to enjoy this life that we were given, and we want to be able to have the energy and the vitality to take it in.
Yeah. And the thing is, though, and that's something you may be experiencing in your personal lives or will try to understand, is you sometimes don't know what health feels like until you take that chance and make that change to experience something new. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to feel unsettled depending on the degree of change that you're making. And that's okay. That's expected to happen. That means you're doing something right. But it's not something to be overwhelmed by and stressed out by. I think in my personal journey of weight loss, I at one point was feeling overwhelmed and stressed by it. And it just turned me off, especially when I was trying to follow this macronutrient diet and workout plan that a coach at the time gave me. And I was just not planning ahead of how to execute the action steps I needed to take. And it just became a chore. Like, it's okay. You know what I mean? Like to be uncomfortable, but it should also be enjoyable at the same time.
I like that you made that point, Hanan, and that's something that I want to touch upon here too, is that, you know, regardless if you have maybe some underlying issues that might be there with your health or with your well-being, these are all steps into just understanding and knowing yourself. And that can be a little scary. And I know from personal experience, we live here in the United States. So with our culture here, we're very fast paced, right? We're always on the go. We have so many duties and responsibilities that we always put on our plates. And because we're in such this fast paced mode, we almost essentially put ourselves on the back burner. We kind of numb ourselves and our inner trauma and our pain. And we let that just keep getting pushed to the wayside until one day it just hits us like a bag of bricks. And so when I started doing this work of healing and just bettering my health, it really started shedding layers of who I was at the core. And I realized a lot of who I am was not pretty. And I had to work through that to realize, wow, these are some things that I never realized that I need to start really working on. This is something that I want to better.
There's so much strength though. I'm doing the same thing. And again, it's just peeling back the onion layers, right, of ourselves and just getting to, we're not perfect beings and it's okay. You know what I mean? I think some people, they hold on to their ego, and I'm not saying ego in a way to be negative, but just recognizing it for what it is. We have a self-image we're trying to protect, and it's scary for us to see ourselves in the mirror and see what the blemishes that we have. But once you're aware of it and you are able to acknowledge it and try to treat it, then you're able to beautify yourself and you can feel more at peace with yourself and share your beauty with others, and other people can enjoy, and it just enhances your relationships with other people. And at the end of the day, another part of health is relationships. And so when you're showing up for yourself and being your best self, you're able to give that to others, and you both can enjoy, and it enhances your life.
It's contagious.
It's contagious.
When you're
totally
being
is.
Exactly who you are, you're being authentic to who you are. It's contagious. It's very admirable. And that's essentially a ripple effect for others to feel okay with who they are and be authentic and speak their truth.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that health really is a ripple effect. And that's one of the reasons that we're doing this podcast is, again, to show that transparency, that vulnerability, and want you to feel okay and where you're at, and that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, I just went on a renewal retreat before this podcast recording. So it's kind of coming at a good time. And we were discussing about activities that we're doing that we may numb out from versus rejuvenate from, and doing things in our life that's life-giving, not life-draining. And whether it's a matter of changing what you're doing or having a different perspective on it. I was listening to a news report. It might have been on like ABC 7 or Channel 9. It was just a quick interview about caregiver burnout and basically how to reduce burnout. And in the interview, the person speaking was suggesting it's a matter of perspective. So like doing the tasks of caregiving could be life-giving, like you enjoying to shower the individual you're showering, or like helping them eat, things like that, because it makes you feel good for them rather than just feeling like it's something you're giving to them. It's something you're doing together to help with their care. So again, which goes back to how health can be created in the mind, right? That emotional well-being.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm glad that you touched upon that. And I think a big part of it is, I really believe it's, like Hanan was saying, it's your thoughts, but it's the words that you use.
Right.
So if you can give yourself those affirmations, and this is something that I try to make the point of doing every single day, is that today is going to be a good day. I remind myself of that. And today you're going to give your 100%.
Right.
It's almost that verbal therapy, those cues that I give myself, I'm reframing my mind right at the beginning of the day.
Yeah, I don't mean to bring religion into this, but just that kind of is something that we're taught in my faith, is like, if you're a Muslim, okay, like everything is good, like God is good for you in that sense. So like anything that happens, bad or good, is serving you in a good way, whether it's a loss, whether it's a gain of some sort. And also just striving for excellence in your day-to-day, doing the best you can, and the best will come to you. So it's just the same principles, just communicated differently. But language is important. I think people need to know what words to use to help them stay on that track of being healthy. And hopefully with this podcast, we'll be able to achieve that. We're besides introducing you to different therapies, hopefully with our dialogue, we're changing the dialogue of health so that you have the tools in your mind to help yourself live your healthy life.
Well said, Hanan. Very well said.
Thank you.
I'm happy you made that point. And another big thing too, and the dynamic that Hanan and I have, not only as a health coach, and she was my client, but now we're dear friends. And what makes this relationship really special that we want to also share is that we come from completely different backgrounds.
Yeah.
As Hanan said, you are of Islam faith.
And Palestinian American origin.
Yes. And I come from Christian faith, and I am fourth generation here in the United States. There's so much different kind of our upbringing that we like to share as part of our journey. And hopefully that can resonate with our audience here.
I think just the example that our friendship gives to others is that you can connect with anyone. Like love has no boundaries. Friendship has no boundaries. Health is not limited to a certain category of people, the like socially, economically well-off elites, you know what I mean? Like health can be accessible to all.
Yeah.
Friendship can be accessible to all. Love and just a good quality of life can be accessible to all. It's going to look different for each one. We're not here to give you one prescription for health and well-being. That's going to be individual to you. But we're just giving you, again, the tools, the resources, the enlightenment, so that you can be inspired to take charge of your health.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't have said that better.
Thank you. Is there any final thoughts you have? Because I feel like
I think that wraps this wraps up our first episode of our podcast. So whether it's one viewer we have or a million, we're just so grateful that we're finally doing this podcast. Thank you for those that are listening in on us. We're really excited to continue down this path, sharing more really interesting, cool stories of different therapies out there. So in our next episode, look forward to a specific type of therapy that helps both Hanan and I, and we'll shed light on it with our guest speaker.
Well, you all have a great day.
Oh, yes. Be well.
Be well.